All right, guys, we're back here at spot number 2. Jase and I actually turkey hunted earlier this year, and we came across a real nice scrape line on this one ridge. The big primary scrape was in the middle of a saddle, so we're gonna go stick a camera out there. A little bit different than the last spot we hung cameras at, so we'll see what we can get down here. All right, guys, we're about halfway to the scrape here. Reason why we're putting a camera on this scrape down here is, one, it's right on a saddle, so there's a couple trails that intersected there. Just overall good spot for deer activity. And two, right up the hill from there, which is where we're standing at right now, is a humongous oak flat. There is just acorn caps all over the place. I mean, you can see just walking through here, digging through here, looking to find all these acorns in here. Just a bunch of white oaks, couple red oaks spread out through here. I don't know exactly whether that's strictly deer or if turkeys and squirrels are in here, but there was an awful lot of deer tracks in here before the green up happened. So we're about halfway to this scrape here, so we're gonna drop down over the hill, set this camera up, and I think we're gonna try going back a different way, because access along this logging road that we came in on, I mean, it's good for getting back in here and checking trail cameras, but for hunting, you would get busted as soon as you step foot through there. So we're gonna see if we can find a different way to access. All right, we have arrived at the scrape. So you can see behind me, it is still open. It was open in April when we were down here. Licking branches all over the place on it. It's right on a saddle here, and you got the saddle coming across this way. Got this old logging road running perpendicular to that. Just overall great spot. Back that way about 100 yards is where it switches over from where they stopped doing the select cut and getting real thick and nasty to this is more starting to open up a little bit, but still kind of a high stem count. So we're gonna try and put a render here with a booster antenna. Verizon service isn't the greatest. If not, we're just gonna stick a Lift 2 here on video mode. All right, guys, we just finished hanging up the camera. I'm standing in the scrape right now, and we ended up putting him to the side of it instead of on a tree back here. That one was too angled back that way, so we couldn't get it down enough to get the scrape. This one, however, we can get the scrape, and there's a trail that cuts right across this saddle here. We'll be able to catch anything coming up this saddle, be able to catch anything coming across this logging road, hitting this scrape. I think we're gonna move spots again. There's a couple other ridges I wanna check out in this place. It's pretty big, so we got a lot of ground to cover. So we didn't really find a good way to access from the top of this hill walking back, so unfortunately it's looking like we're gonna have to hike the whole way up from the bottom if we want to hunt that. Got a couple more spots I want to go try out. There's a couple more ridge systems that dump up into some more ag on private, so let's go see what we can find there. All right, guys, we're at spot number 2 now. I noticed this real heavy crossing coming across the road here along the creek in between two of these really steep hills. So we walked up in here, probably about 200-300 yards off the road. There's a beaver dam up here, and there's just trails crossing right in front of it all over the place. So we're gonna stick a camera back here. I know it's, not too far off the road, but might be one of those overlooked spots because there's no real parking lot here where we're at. There's a couple trails actually that cut right across this beaver dam, or this beaver pond, I should say. As you can see here, good God, look at that. You think that's a major crossing? There's some big tracks in that. So this is gonna be camera location number 2, I think. Just gotta figure out where the heck we're gonna put it, because there's not too many trees around here that are gonna be close enough to reach that. Well, we just hiked way back up in this valley because those trails kept going, and damn, that thing has got to be every bit of 6 foot, if not more tall. There's just trails cutting all through here. My guess is they're feeding in and along all these beaver ponds with all this natural browse here. We're gonna regroup here and see if we could find a good funnel in here, because there's a lot of trails that come through here and there's a lot of tracks on them. So we decided on a location for camera number 2 here. In between these ponds here, there's just a little washout right behind me, and there's just all sorts of trails crisscrossing the whole way through this washout. So we're gonna stick it on big tree behind us. That way we can see everything in this washout. Honestly, this is a pretty cool spot. You got rock faces on both sides. There's a big pine tree flat up here to our one side. Doesn't really seem like any signs of human intrusion at all. So we're gonna throw a lift 2 on video mode up here. Being this far down in the valley here, there's no way we're getting cell phone reception. So I'm gonna hold on to the renders here to go check out the last ridge of the day that's buttoned up to some big ags. So I'll be excited to see what's on this one, because this is a very unique spot in here. Alright guys, this is part 2 of the vlog. Back here about 2 weeks later, after we hung all the cameras. We're gonna move the render, actually. We put it in the one corner of the bean field. Thought it was gonna be a good spot. We actually did get 2 bucks on camera the other day, but that's the only activity we've had on that camera in 2 weeks. And I guess someone kind of missed a branch when we were cleaning it out and trying to get it so we weren't getting any false triggers. Won't mention any names though. We're gonna go yank it down. And when we were here last time, after we hung the camera, got really dark, and right at last light, we stumbled across a bachelor group down where the ridge systems all meet and it comes up into these bean fields. So we're thinking that's gonna be a better spot for deer filtering in and out of this area. Just got done pulling the render here. We're just kind of looking around here at this spot that we originally picked out. There's some tracks, but just not a lot. I don't know, I feel like this is a spot that they use like every so often. I mean, second picture of deer we get in 2 weeks, it's not leaves blown in the wind, and it's 2 bucks, but they're coming from this way uphill towards the big private ag fields. So we're gonna push a little further downhill. We looked on Onyx, there's a little kind of like a little funnel right before you get into these bean fields, so we're thinking that's probably our best bet there. We just made it to the spot that we wanted to check out here. Almost looks like this is a pipeline coming up out of the big valley behind us. It's a lot narrower back here. There's still beans back here, but it looks like there's clover too. A lot greener back here, but obviously the deer like it back here more. We're a lot further away from the parking lot here than the first spot. If I can find something I like a scrape on the edge here, or major crossing or something like that, this one might stay here for the duration. We're gonna keep walking down here, see what we find, and get this camera hung. We walked this back to the edge here. This is where the beans and clover end, and then just the natural grasses take over. Here's a deer up there where we just came out of. Reason why we're picking this spot, this is a transition area. So you have beans here, which is a food source. Either side of this, it's a ridge that drops off pretty steep. Back behind us, this natural grass tapers down over the hill, and there's just access trails coming every which direction out of the timber into the natural grass into this bean field, and it looks like all the tracks are working their way back up that way. This right here is a pretty heavily used trail that comes out of here. I mean, you can see where they have it beaten down coming out of there. So what we're gonna do is stick it on that bare tree right there, so that way we don't have to worry about false triggers from the weeds. We don't have to worry about false triggers from the sun. And it's still, 20 yards from where we're standing at right here to the tree. One thing that I always bring with me when I'm setting up trail cameras is my rangefinder. Is it within range or not? We ranged it here, it's 20 yards. We know it's within that 70-foot detection range. I'm gonna get this camera hung and try and go find another place to hang one. Jase pointed out that back here in and amongst all of the blackberries, we got a bed. Looks like it's a pretty big bed, almost down to the dirt, so it's a good sign. Guess we're gonna find out real quick if anything's using it. All right guys, just got done hanging the render here. We stuck a solar panel on it. Nice little handy tip too, if you ever run out of paracord. I always carry a couple of these. They're just tent tie downs. You can buy them from Walmart. They come in handy whenever you only have 2 pieces of paracord left and the one isn't long enough to tie in your SP18. So got it pointing here at this field corner here where this trail comes out at, and there's a trail that comes up this side of the power line along with that bed back there. So settings for this camera back here, I have all the sensitivity turned up high. We want that camera to reach out as far as it can go. I have that on 6-hour uploads, but I think I'm going to change it to real time just because I like that instant gratification of knowing when there's something in front of the camera. We just have it on photo mode. One picture burst right now. You know, I might switch it to 2 or 3 depending on how far out the deer are when they walk past that. With that solar panel on there, lithium's in it. I don't think I'll ever have to come down here and change batteries till next season. There's a couple deer up here already. Even more filtering out, it looks like. That's where we saw that bachelor group last time, so I think we're gonna stick a render there. Staring right at us? Huh? That's the big wide buck. That's him. Guys, there's deer everywhere right now. So we're walking back up and we just saw that big wide buck that we got on camera the other day cut across. So I think that's where we're gonna put the other render at. Man, is he nice. That wide buck that we had on camera is up there. Yep, staring at us. There's an even bigger buck that followed behind him that's already an 8-point. I mean, it's what, June 20th, 21st? It's an encouraging sign. Still got a long ways to go before they're done growing. All right, guys. Sorry for the spooky ghost story look here, but we're just finishing up setting camera number 4. On our way out, we saw 2 pretty nice bucks and a bunch of does coming up out of this ravine, coming into the beans here. So once they all passed, we walked down to where they were coming out, and it's like a 4-foot wide mud path coming up through here. We're down in the woods. We're not on the edge of the field. We're putting it on a tree facing uphill towards the path heading out to the field. Camera settings for this, we're taking pictures, 3-round burst. We turned the sensitivity down though. So IR flash range, we still left on high. We're not worried about that. Turned sensitivity down to medium, potentially even low, because we're only about 20 feet away from the camera. I'm on the path right now. We're only 20 feet away from the camera, and up behind me is the edge of the field. So in the mornings, you will get a lot of false triggers from the sun shining through from the field into the woods here. So turning that sensitivity down reduces the effective range that it actually triggers at. So pretty impressed with this place, not gonna lie. This is the most bucks we've seen and some of the biggest ones yet. Alrighty guys, we're just getting back to the car now. Turns out we didn't have enough signal down over the hill to set up a render, so we just stuck a Lift 2 on video mode. Hopefully we catch some of those big bucks coming up out of that timber and into that field, because that's really the only spot they can get up in there. So hope you guys enjoyed, and until next time.